This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Alpha Natural Resources, an energy company dedicated to respecting the land. Alpha Natural Resources, we power the world through the energy of our people. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community, promoting the free enterprise system to enhance economic competitiveness. Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.
Welcome to This Week in Richmond. As you maybe can see, this is a holiday season and we have a very special show today because we're starting with you two gentlemen, and then we have some of your colleagues to talk about something that's, I think, very much fitting for the holiday season. So Chip Kramer,
yes,
R.J. Kuykendall,
yes, sir.
I got it right.
Yes, sir.
Delighted to have you here. Chip, start and kind of set the program. What did you all decide to do after Sandy hit the Northeast?
Well, in our preparations for Hurricane Sandy, one of the things that we did, amongst others, was to identify a number of sawyers and individuals within the state park system that would be able to lend assistance if any of our parks were affected. And as it turned out, we were very fortunate this go-round. We hadn't been so fortunate in the past.
Right.
And we were discussing with our director, Joe Elton, the possibility of being able to lend some assistance to another state park system that wasn't quite as fortunate. Through the different years and the different storms with Isabel and Irene and a number of other tropical storms, we know how daunting the task of trying to recover and get our facilities back open can be. So Director Elton, he reached out to several of the northern state park systems, and New Jersey was the system that was willing to accept our offer of assistance, and our departmental director, David Johnson, was able to get the authorization for our out-of-state travel, and we put together a group of 9 individuals from across the Commonwealth, from various state parks, that were able to go up to New Jersey for a week's time period and provide some essential assistance and help them recover much quicker than they would have been otherwise.
I understand they were almost disbelieving when when you all were willing to come up and help, that they were just delighted to have you come.
They were extremely appreciative, and with state parks, we look at our employees really as a family, the state park family, and being able to reach out to another state park system was, in a sense, reaching out to the extended family. It's not anything that we had really ever heard of before, of state park systems from varying states lending assistance to each other in these times of need. So hopefully this is something that we'll see more of in the future. It is fairly common in some other state agencies and departments. When you look at firefighting community, the law enforcement community, those type of mutual aid agreements and assistance are fairly well known.
RJ, tell us some about some of your experiences, and we have some pictures too, and we'll get some of those put up perhaps some of the time that you're talking, but how was it for you going up to Jersey?
It was fun. I mean, it was a lot of hard work, put in a lot of hours, but it was for the reasons we agreed to do. Go up there, help these folks, because like Chip said, we have gone through these storms several times. Isabel was a big one that hit a lot of us, and the tornado that hit Stanton River. It was surreal to reach out and help somebody else that's really never been through something like this. And just to go up there and do nothing but work from sun up till sundown it was a pleasure, and we were just so fortunate that our folks allowed us to go up there and help.
I think some of the pictures that we have of some of the huge trees that you all encountered there that just had come up out of the ground almost.
They were big. They were telephone poles. They were every bit 80 to 100 feet.
Mm. And this was not on the ocean. It was somewhat inland where you all were, correct?
It's at the northwest region.
Correct.
Yeah.
We were in the northwest corner of New Jersey. It was Stokes State Forest, which is right where Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York come together.
You know, most of us saw pictures of the devastation along the coast, but people probably didn't realize how far inland it went.
We left on Saturday and drove out to the coast, and it was about an hour-and-a-half drive. So they were, if I remember correctly, 60 to 70 miles inland from the coast. So there was quite a bit of damage still that far inland, which kind of took everybody by surprise, I believe.
So you pulled together a team. I think we have some pictures be up on the screen at times of the team of 9 of you from pretty much all over the Commonwealth.
That's correct.
And of course you work out of the Virginia Beach
Yes, sir.
area, and Chip, you're the one of the 9 who's kind of in the central office. Is that correct?
That's correct. We had, I believe it was 7 state parks represented, mainly coming down the eastern seaboard, but then going into the central Virginia, and then I work out of the central office.
Oh, we were delighted to hear about what you did, you and your colleagues, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, to be able to thank you all as state employees, as examples of others who do this kind of volunteer work and helping out in the time of disaster. I think it's really great, and it's, you know, whatever one celebrates during this holiday season, it's really a good holiday time. And you probably got some new friends up there in Jersey now.
A few.
I believe so.
Yeah. And they if the next time happens to be Virginia, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of them wanting to come down and lend a hand.
And that would be a welcomed effort.
Yeah. Now, so this was a first for you, wasn't it, in the state parks?
This is the first collaborative effort for, you know, reaching across, you know, the term across the lines to give somebody a hand, and we're hoping this is a prelude to more, because we're all in this together. Doesn't matter what the lines are, we're all in this together, and we serve the same cause, provide recreation for people. And the hunters were actually anxious for us to get out of there because they were coming hunting.
So it was right up on hunting season.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Well, you mentioned too, Chip, that this is something that we hear about firefighters doing and other first responders, and so great to hear about Department of Conservation, Recreation, Parks folks, employees to be doing this as well. So we thank the 2 of you very much, and we're going to have some conversation in just a moment with some of your colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're delighted to have 3 more of the group of 9 who went from Virginia up to New Jersey after Sandy had devastated so much of the East Coast and even the inland parts. So instead of introducing all 3 of you at one time, why don't I start with you one at a time and just invite you to make some comments. And Dan Coffin, I'll start with you.
Yes.
Tell our viewers something about some of your experiences as you were up there in Jersey.
Well, the thing that surprised me the most was how beautiful the park was. I mean, you hear about New Jersey and you didn't realize, but they have 33 parks. And when we got there, only 3 were open. And after we cut a whole lot of trees and got to actually see what we were working on, it was a very, very pretty park. It had a trout stream that ran through the middle of it and a nice lake, and it was just devastated, though, because I mean, when you got there, you couldn't hardly see anything but trees down.
You know, those of us that mainly travel up 95, if we go, have a hard time picturing Jersey being the Garden State,
right,
as its nickname is. But it does have a beautiful portion on inland in particular. It does. So, David Yeager.
Yes.
Give us some of your initial reactions and thoughts. What park were you all in?
Stokes State Forest.
Stokes State Forest.
And we arrived there Sunday, and we took a look at the damage, and it was pretty devastated. The amount of trees that came down, and you could tell where they had already spent weeks cutting to open the roads, but they just were not equipped to handle the amount of trees. And when we showed up with the bobcats and our saws and the chipper, then it really was like the cavalry had just shown up. I think they were very excited to see us.
Dave Symington.
That's
or
correct.
David.
Yep.
You maybe were one of the youngest ones on this group of 9. So
yeah, I believe I was one of the youngest. Yeah.
What were some of your reactions as you got there?
Oh, it really warmed my heart. They really appreciated it. I got a sense of pride right away from giving a hand to them. They seemed to know what they were facing, and they knew it was going to take a long time, and they knew because we were there, it was going to get done a lot quicker. So they were very appreciative. They met us out there on Monday with coffee and donuts, which was great. And through the week, it got a little colder, but we didn't notice that we were pulling off clothes as soon as we got there because it was right to work. So, yeah.
Working there that entire week, I believe. That you spent a full week there.
Yep.
It went by really fast, though. I mean, we'd get in the trucks at dark and we'd get back at dark, but it didn't seem that long during the day that you were out there working because you just stayed constantly busy.
Now, this was State Forest, I think you referred to it, so it didn't have cabins or someplace they can put you up?
No, yes, sir, it
Oh,
does.
it does.
Their Forestry Service and Park Service are combined.
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah.
the campground, even though it was in the state forest, was had cabins and everything. But when we got there was no power there still.
Yes.
So we stayed in Pennsylvania in a hotel.
Yeah, we were hearing on our first segment about the fact that you were 60 or 70 miles from the coast. But I think that we have one scene of Liberty State Park where you look over at Ellis Island, and that we'll show our viewers. Tell us some of the reactions that you had when you got over to the coast.
The building that we went to visit at the park was just devastated. It was an old 1800 vintage building where most everybody that came to Ellis Island and went anywhere inland had to traverse through it to catch a train, and all the windows were broken in the bottom level. The sidewalk was gone. It was
Rocks had been washed up. Large rocks had been washed up that had previously been stacked along the shoreline between the city and the park, and it was incredible when you realized the amount of power that it took from the water to do that to the park. And also, what was interesting, there was a chain link fence around the park, and you could see the debris of trash and how high it had washed up. It was every bit of 5 feet up on the fence. When you realized there was that much water that had flooded the park, it was incredible.
David, I guess it's the first time you'd seen something that bad, perhaps.
Well, I actually didn't go up there. I used to live in upstate New York, so I had been to Ellis Island before, and I had a preview engagement on Saturday. So I actually left Friday at lunchtime.
Yeah.
So.
Now, what about devastation in some of your parks in previous storms? I guess you've had some experience, but nothing maybe as severe as this?
Well, when High Bridge Trail first opened, we had a bad ice storm that winter, and we cut trees for quite a long time because along the rails there was a lot of smaller pines and stuff that bowed over, but nothing to. I mean, these trees were planted by the CCC and back in the 30s, and some of them were huge. Some of the hemlocks were, 2.5, 3 feet in diameter. And just to have them stacked up like they were, nah, I haven't ever messed with anything like that.
We had seen that type of damage at Pocahontas last September with our hurricane there. The roads were completely blocked up, so the amount of damage at Stokes was impressive, but I have to say I've seen it before. We had that at Pocahontas last year.
Mm-hmm.
So which made me even more equipped to deal with it.
Cut the trails and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, they were
You
stacked
showed
up
to
like
help.
that, but man, some of those trees were huge.
Mm-hmm. Have you had some devastation at the park where you work?
Yeah, at Isabel, we had quite a time. We were 12 feet above normal pool, I believe, which washed docks, things up all the way up to where our marina is. Significant damage. We had damage last year during the hurricane that hit. A lot of clearing trails, a lot of trees off of roads, similar to what we faced in Stokes.
Yeah, our viewers probably be interested. The park where you're working has a really unique feature. And
Oh yes, sir. We have a bridge that's 125 feet high and 2,477 feet long. And the bridge right next to it, or the abutments right next to it, were built in the 1850s, and the bridge was burned during the Civil War to try to keep the northern forces from following Lee. But there was a smaller bridge right at river level that had been previously flooded and was green timber, and even though they set it on fire, it didn't burn. So they followed them that way.
Mm-hmm. So when you speak of the bridge, is it a pedestrian bridge?
It is, yes. It's a bicycle, horseback riding, hiking bridge that connects the east and west portions of our trail, and our trail's basically 30 miles long.
Now, all of your parks have cabins?
No, sir. We're a new park, so we're just in the process of getting started.
Yeah.
We have original CCC buildings that are equipped for people to stay there, but it's a different type of cabin than what is at Stokes.
Yeah, we have primitive campground, but we're a day use park only. So.
Yeah. So
Yep.
they're not that overnight. So again, tell any other reflections that you have as you think back on spending that week up in New Jersey, there at that park. If I haven't perhaps asked the question to prompt it, what else would you want to tell our viewers about? Let's start down here with you, David.
That you know, if you can lend a hand, then that's a great thing to do. If you can help out your community and get a sense of pride from helping out your own community, then it's a great and very rewarding thing to offer assistance to.
Those people, the park employees, again, you could see how much work that they had already done just to get the streets opened, the roads, but they were wore out. And when we showed up, we were doing the same type of work. We had some additional equipment that they didn't have.
That's good.
But just to have 9 fresh soldiers
Yeah.
show up
Really made
to
the
start
difference.
attacking it, it really lifted their spirits.
Yeah.
The overall appreciation that they gave us for what we did for them just made everything worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, I thank the three of you very much, and we're going to have one more segment and get 3 others of your colleagues on to tell some of their experiences too. So thank you all.
Okay,
Thank you.
So we now have the final 3 of the ones that are on the show, and we'll start with you, Steve. Give us some of your reactions about this trip to Jersey.
Well, considering that it was just before Thanksgiving, we just felt it was a good thing for us to go up there and help out somebody else who needed some assistance. When I first got up there, I was kind of surprised that there was only 2 full-time employees for this 16,000-acre state forest that we were at, and that even made it more worthwhile for us to go in and help these folks get their state forest back open. I'd gone through some of these similar type things at Westmoreland, and it was just good to go up there and help them out and really see how much they appreciated us.
Cameron, what were some of your reactions and thoughts?
When I first got up there, you look around and you're just kind of amazed, and just so much damage, so many trees down, it's just trying to find a place to start is what I was looking at. Where can we start and help them the most that we can? And that was one of the big things for me, just getting the start of it and working our way to clear some of the campgrounds so they can get them back open again and get some money flow in there, because they've been closed down for a while, and that helps them if we can get them open and get some money flow back into their parks to get everything back open again.
What about you, James?
My first thought once I seen the park is it's pretty much what Cameron said. It's just knowing where to start. It was pretty destroyed me. I haven't experienced too much of these, and it was kind of nice to actually go help out somebody and help. I mean, needed to help. But it was a real big experience for me. And
Like we were saying before we started that you were actually the youngest of this group, and so you'd seen less of this than any of your colleagues had.
Yeah, this is, I haven't hardly seen any of it, which being the youngest.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just hard to get words to describe what you saw. And we were talking also while you were getting mic'd up about the trees, about the type trees that you were cutting there.
A lot of the trees, as I said before, were planted back in the 30s, and they were planted pretty heavily. A lot of them were red pine and Norway spruce, and these trees, how they were planted so close together, they grew 80 foot to 100 foot tall straight up with no limbs. So they were pretty much like lion's tails up at the top and no structural support for the trees, and that's why they were broke off real high. Some of them broke off 20, 30 feet tall, and it just created a lot of danger for us cutting underneath of them and just finding the best way to cut because of the types of trees they were, and made it a lot dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And amazing in a way that they were planted that close together, but yet had lasted that long. It took this storm to really bring them down.
Well, this was the first time that I think New Jersey had ever experienced anything, not just on the coast, but even inland. And I think that's one thing that they were kind of overwhelmed just by the sheer numbers and looking at it. And I know how I felt after some of the storms at Westmoreland going out. You just, like they were saying, don't know where to start. But they estimated that we had cut almost 70,000 board feet of timber.
Wow!
Just in the week that we were up there.
Yeah. That's an amazing amount. So when your week was over, was the park about ready? The forest about ready to be reopened?
Well, we cleared 2 campgrounds. We cleared their cabin area, which had 7 to 8 cabins in it that could not have been occupied with the trees hanging over the cabins. And we got everything cleared so people could come in and camp there. We piled every trees we cut up into logs so they could get it milled. But we piled them up in safe spots where no one would get injured if they were around them. But it still looked bad from where we were in there, but it was clean so people could come in there that following weekend. We left on Saturday, and they opened on that Saturday.
Yeah, when we were wrapping up Friday afternoon, they had people coming in and checking into their cabins, and there was a scout troop that was checking in for their weekend camping trip.
Good.
And yeah, like you said, when we left Saturday to go down to Liberty Island, the park was functioning.
Yeah, well, that's got to be a real sense of rewarding, as you said, to you that you were able to accomplish that much in a week's time.
Yeah, one of the guys said that if we hadn't come up there, that it probably would have been July 4th before they would have been able to open up some of those sections. So that meant a lot for us to be able to help them continue on.
I believe as much as we helped them, all 9 of us gained the same experience back, that we felt so overwhelmed that we could help these people out so much, even in different states. We know how it is. We've had a lot of damage in our parks, but you just get that good feeling in your heart that you did a good thing, and it's a good time to help someone else after these bad storms we've been having.
We started the program talking some about holiday season that we're into now, and certainly for on behalf of all the rest of us in the Commonwealth, I want to express thanks to the 3 of you and to your other 6 colleagues and 9 of you who went, and you make us proud as state employees that you jumped in and helped out the way you did.
I believe after the initial email was sent out asking for people to recruit, I believe 7 or 8 of us signed up for it within 30 minutes of that initial email. So it's something that we're always willing to do is help out. I mean, we're like a big family in the Virginia State Parks, and we're always willing to help out wherever we can.
We actually had another crew set up to go the week after Thanksgiving, and I guess we did such a good job they weren't needed. But that's one good thing about working with state parks, and one thing about the Commonwealth in general is everybody's willing to help each other out.
Well, we thank the 3 of you very much and all of your colleagues, and just are delighted to be able to tell this story to the viewers around the Commonwealth about what you've done. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having us.
This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Alpha Natural Resources, an energy company dedicated to respecting the land. Alpha Natural Resources, we power the world through the energy of our people. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community, promoting the free enterprise system to enhance economic competitiveness. Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.